Okay, testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. You talk normal.
Hi, John from the Good Dog, talking normal.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
Testing 4 5 6. Testing 4 5 6.
You like the fancy camera?
I feel high anxiety now. I feel I have to lift my game up.
How about Joanne Treadway's delicious snacks?
Things have taken an ugly turn.
I wish we had more of your gift basket to show everyone, Joanne, but unfortunately, there's
not much left. That's how much we appreciated it.
And then
There's not much left.
Honestly, in the first hour that we got the thing, I finished all of those cheese puffs.
And the cheese puffs went quick.
Yeah, really quick.
Pop-Tarts took a big hit pretty quick.
Yeah.
Peanut butter cups.
These actually stuck around because you only gave us like 20 bags of them. Next time, maybe you could up it.
I didn't even know. I didn't know there was such a thing as organic Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, but there are.
So now
Organic.
it's actually moved into the health food quadrant.
It's literally health food.
Into the health food quadrant. So I'm feeling more positive about my diet.
Eating them? There you go.
And they've got pomegranates in it too, which are really good for you.
It's actually antioxidants. Literally, that's antioxidant.
I'm cleansing as we're shooting this. I just want everybody to know that there's all sorts of ways to multitask. I'm cleansing.
Hey guys, so it's our first fancy one. I hope it all turns out.
Guys, I'm going to tell you how excited I am to welcome you to the first, well, this would be Good Dogs Q&A Saturday 2.0.
Yeah, but number 21.
No, 22.
22?
22. Wow. 21 sneaked right by you. This is our first Fancy Pants edition. Though.
Yep,
this
sure is.
Serious stuff. Laura's got her major Fancy Pants camera that we finally swindled away from her to actually share with us.
Everything
it's been
goes
locked
to
up.
the Good Dog.
It's been locked up in her lab, and we managed to finally get it out. So everybody, thank Laura for the higher quality visual here.
You're welcome.
It's all because of you, everybody. What's the opening? Hey everybody, it's John from the Good Dog, and this is the Good Dogs Q&A Saturday episode number 22. And this is the lovely and very generous and high-tech savvy Laura Morgan.
Thanks.
You ready to jam on this?
We're so ready. You guys ready?
This much time?
Yeah, we literally have 40 minutes.
It's time to rock.
We gotta go.
Let's go.
It's gonna be kind of a speed one.
Speed round.
Yeah, okay. Question number 1. This is Jennifer S. Morgan.
Ready.
Right?
Is this your sister?
Is this Jennifer?
Is this Jennifer from Norway?
Don't let them know about our connection. That's my last name. Okay. Jennifer says, "Hi, I'll be getting a Goldendoodle who is extremely insecure and fearful but not aggressive. He will not even come to me, and his prior foster didn't crate train him. I plan on using the regular training methods, crate, place, down, prong, collar, etc., and will introduce him to my dogs. Do you recommend anything different, and should I start off using the e-collar right away with his training since he's so fearful? He's also extremely fearful of children and will run and hide if anyone comes around him. I don't have any small children, but there's a lot out when I take my dogs for walks."
Okay, Jennifer, not related to Laura Morgan. I would actually stick with what you're starting with. You were going to start with leash and prong stuff, and if I'm not mistaken, our kind of basic foundational stuff. And if that's what you're rocking with to start off with this dog, I think that's a great place to start. The e-collar stuff I'd bring on down the road, but let's start with a nice, think of the first 3, 4, even 5 days. It's kind of a detox period for this dog. It's probably been living a pretty anxiety-filled, hectic lifestyle. Excuse me. So I would really think of it as kind of a respite from all that, and make this less about snappy obedience and more about quieting the mind, really slowing the dog down, getting the dog to relax. So tons, oodles of doodles, oodles of duration place command. Let's get lots of duration where the mind just slows down. That's about the best stuff you can do for a dog that's been living in kind of a more peak state. And by peak state, just being in a fear spot is a bad space for a dog, in an extended period, obviously. And so there's going to be a lot of fallout from that emotionally. It's going to take time for the dog to recover from that. So let's go for some duration stuff with that. And then after you've done all of the basic stuff, leash and prong, and a really good space with that, and you're feeling like the dog's in a pretty good zone, then you could definitely go to low-level e-collar stuff, as long as you're pretty astute with it. So these fearful dogs require a pretty sensitive touch, so you have to make sure that you're Hercules. Ooh, it's a close one.
He knows it well.
Hercules almost hit Mom's camera.
He's already gotten the beat down for something.
Okay, so then I would go to low-level e-collar if you're feeling really qualified to do very sensitive, low-level work to be able to make sure that the dog is helped. Because if you know how to do it right, it can be really helpful. I would just start with basic stuff, low-level recall, and then place command. Just keep it simple. Down the line, you can add sit, down, heel, that kind of stuff. But just think about slowing this dog's mind down and getting him to stop moving around from things he's fearful of. A lot of just stationary stuff, and then eventually getting him to recall. That would be down the line. But so start leash and prong, then go to e-collar low level if you're qualified to do it. And think it's all about calm, it's all about cool, it's all about slow, and it's all about not letting him practice fearful stuff.
Any of that fearful habit stuff that he's gotten into.
Cool. There's a nice meeting outside going on. Just for time for filming. Ready to rock?
Question number 2. This is from Kay McKay. Kay says, a friend's 1-year-old lab who's crated when they're not home has separation anxiety. They have 5-year-old twin boys, so the energy level is off the charts. The behavior is the worst when he's out of the crate and she comes home from work. The dog jumps, cries, whines, etc. This doesn't happen when she arrives home and her husband and boys aren't home.
It doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. I've told her to learn the place command and have her husband put him in place before she comes in. Thoughts?
It's weird because Kay, thanks for the question, first of all, but it doesn't sound like typical separation anxiety. Maybe I'm misunderstanding your question. It sounds a little bit more like excitement and dog having problems with impulse control, and when stimuli gets too much, he just kind of loses his marbles. Maybe there's stuff going on that I'm not privy to as far as when they are gone, and maybe some separation stuff that's more serious. But just for getting down to this, so your idea is a good one, to have the place command trained by the husband and have the dog in that position when she gets home. But it's kind of a bigger picture thing than that. You really should, and not you, but you should impart this to your friends, that the real magic won't come from trying to get a dog to do, like we always say, you don't try and go to the World Series and be successful. You have to start at, you have to start at Little League or T-ball and then Little League and high school and college ball. You have to work your way up. So the hardest thing to do is go to the World Series and try and be successful, which would be putting the dog in place and then having the owner come in. You don't have the muscles built for that yet, psychologically and repetition and conditioning wise. So you'd really want to make sure that you train the dog multiple hours a day, and it doesn't have to be complex stuff, but this dog needs major duration place command. He should be there. I think I even wrote some notes, 1.5 to 2 hours at a stretch, multiple times a day. The less wandering around for this guy, the better for right now. Not forever, but for right now. And if the whole family will practice a little bit of this and teach the dog, condition him to be able to just stay stationary, relaxed, and chilled out, even while the kids and the hurricane of family life is going on around them, then the dog will actually start to build up some better coping muscles emotionally, psychologically, and will actually be able to withstand her coming in, the kids being nutty and stuff like this. But if you only try, or if they only try and do it just when the chips are down or the stuff hits the fan, it's a really hard thing. So the reason why things work so well for us is because we condition a ton of this duration work, state of mind work, so when the dogs go home to their old environment where things have been crazy, they don't bring that stuff back with them, and they're better able to cope. So idea is a good one, but I'd suggest for you to suggest to your friends to enlarge that plan to a much more proactive sit down place and heel if you can, but if not, just like sit down in place. And if you can't get those, just get place and do a ton of it. But you got to have a leash and prong on the dog so you can correct him, and so you can give him information if he gets worked up, freaked out, anxious, whatever.
Yeah.
And also make sure keep him in place to where he stays in a chilled out space.
Yeah.
So that's my answer for that question.
That's good.
Do you like that one?
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Let's see.
Let's use the peanut butter cups.
Favors Worson's out of the crate. Okay, so when he is crated and they're not home, he has separation anxiety. So I'm assuming that when you they'll like be like, okay, we don't want the separation anxiety today, so we'll keep the dog out of the crate. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure.
They say when
I tried to.
Yeah, I think just real quick, I'm going to guess if that's the answer. Yeah, that's the other thing is that, you know, some people will be like, well, he has major separation anxiety in the crate, but when he isn't in there, he's okay, but then he's still wild when I come to the door or whatever. The best thing for this dog will be, you know, getting crated and just figuring out that separation anxiety is all the stuff that Sean said is going to help that separation anxiety. So the goal would be to get the dog crated again.
More proactively.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. Probably. Okay, question 3. We have Lindsay Ray Fontaine. She says, so...
Such a good name.
I know. So, I've been using an e-collar prong and has been e-collar/prong collar, and it's been great for everything, except when he starts throwing a fit in public. It is the brattiest behavior he has. He'll bark at me until I have to get up and leave. I never have to use a level higher than 10 on anything, but would you say it's safe to go higher to get him to stop and chill out? Is that the proper way? I haven't used the device to punish him, so it seems like that's what I would be doing, but I need to know how to correct the insanity.
Okay, Lindsay. Awesome question. So, your dog's been fairly conditioned. Sounds like you've been really patient. Sounds like you've worked at really low level. Sorry. Peanut butter
really
cup.
Low level.
Gibberish. Hold on one second.
I just want to see the next one.
You've worked at really low levels to condition him. He's in a good space with all that stuff, I assume. But in certain contexts out in public, he's giving you the big hard time. So, absolutely, one of the benefits of the e-collar is not just conditioning behaviors and teaching him escape training, like how to do sit down, place, and recall, but it's to be able to enable you to say no and have a real valuable no.
Yeah.
So I would absolutely be correcting this stuff. That's really nutty, bratty stuff, and I would want that history
done
yesterday.
Yeah.
So the challenge is that if he's really used to doing it and gets pretty worked up, you might get yourself a little bit of an explosion in public when you go to correct him. You might get vocalizations. You might get all sorts of monkey business. So I'd suggest, if you can, if there's any way to kind of approximate some public stuff where you get a little bit of that monkey business without the full explosion, without full public scrutiny, so you can kind of experiment and find your way without being, you know, self-conscious and without having to worry about your dog making noise if he's freaking out and all that stuff, because it always affects us when our dogs are freaking out in public. So I try and find, I don't know if you understand what I'm shooting for, but if you can find some spot that's approximating like more of the public thing without it being like a big major deal, where you can kind of take some baby steps with that and find your way with corrections, and then slowly work your way up to the World Series where he's really able to handle it, and you've been able to kind of like fine tune your method for correcting. But absolutely, punishment, and everybody's so adverse to that, but it's actually a scientific term and a part of the actual training quadrants if you get into all that stuff, and punishment is a valuable, necessary aspect of training, and for human beings as well as dogs. So it sounds bad, but we don't mean it necessarily in a bad way. We mean to extinguish a negative behavior so your dog can be more healthy. So freaking out in public and being a nut job like that isn't a positive behavior for you, and it's certainly not for your dog. So punishing it is actually something that's positive and helpful to get your dog out of that gear into a more healthy gear, better habits, and then you guys can have more fun in public, and you don't have to be dealing with a freaking out dog. But it sounds like you've done all your foundation work. So yeah, time to correct the silliness for sure.
Get to the next level. But you're awesome.
And don't feel bad about it. Don't feel bad about correcting. I mean, that whole punishment thing. Don't let that. I think not correcting, I think it's the same thing as not correcting kids, and I don't mean that like whooping them with wooden spoons, but not correcting children and not giving them information that's valuable enough for them to make better decisions in the future is a disservice to them, and it's a disservice to your dog. So that's kind of our job, is to make sure we help them find their way through this world in the best way. They don't always know how. That's your job. And Magoo,
down.
This is like a repeat. Magoo. Hang on a second. Where's his equal?
Oh, there he goes.
Down. There's a ton of food on the table, and it's like a foot from him. And he's like, "What do you want to say? I just want to say hi to you guys." Oh, peanut butter cups.
Cool.
Guys,
got some light in the
got
house.
some light going on. So we were trying to do it with natural light, and it just didn't work out.
I just hate any harsh light. Makes me look old.
We're dealing with it, and you don't look young. I mean, don't look old. Sorry.
You don't look young. All right, we'll move on.
We'll edit that.
Will we? Question number 4. This is from our buddy Artem.
Artem, in the Ukraine.
So Artem says, "Hello, Sean and Laura. I didn't ask a question last Q&A. I promise it won't happen again."
We were sad and lonely.
We were so sad and lonely. So my question today is, you both have your personal dogs, and we all know that they are pretty balanced and nicely behaved. So, sorry. So can you tell us what you're doing just to keep them in balance? It's obvious that it's a daily portion of leadership and guidance, but I'm asking about something else. What are the daily activities to keep the dog in balance if he or she is already balanced?
Yeah, so basically, I'll cut to the chase.
Yeah.
I know we're short on time, but I know Artem just wants to basically get an overview of what we do.
Wait, really quick, I just want to say, he said that, "I'm not sure if you have this holiday in the U.S., but no matter, it's International Women's Day today, so my best wishes to you, Laura."
Aww.
Artem!
What a charmer.
Just stop it.
What a charmer.
I'm blushing.
Aww. We missed National Women's Day.
No, we didn't.
No?
You missed it.
You didn't inform me about
so
it.
telling.
I didn't, I don't even know when it's
He remembers
National Men's
Boss's Day, but he doesn't.
That's not true. That's not true. When is it National Men's Day? Is it ever National Men's Day?
No, you guys don't need a day.
The response
You had
is,
every
it's
day.
Every day is Men's Day.
No,
Yeah.
you had every day, but
Get
now...
out of here. Get out of here. All right,
now we woke up
on
like
to this.
Okay.
Anyways, Beyonce. So here's the deal. Our dogs are pretty easy, so there's probably a fair amount of latitude. You guys would probably be surprised by how much latitude we extend to our dogs.
I probably do more because
Herc is a little bit newer, and so
I'm new. Like, I like to keep more up because I have a different living situation.
Yeah. So my guys, we do 2 walks a day. What else do we do? We do playtime every single day. After the first walk, we do a bunch of play and tug and throw the ball and wrestle and have a good time. But then a lot of their day also consists of like working with client dogs and just being around and being cool around client dogs that are not being cool. So they're really pretty amazing at, I can have a dog in here that's absolutely going ballistic trying to attack them. And, we're pretty darn bulletproof in that department. So we might get a tap dance from Manny every once in a while. Manny might get like, what's going on? But that's it. So
for the most part, they just run in the other direction. But for the most part, I would say there's a lot, like if you were to kind of a perfect day for like, I would say what you're looking for is like a dog maintaining, like a dog's balanced and has maintenance. I would say like I do a lot of place command with with Hercules. It's not always enforced, but I'll put him in place.
There's a lot of it.
Yeah, a lot of that with Manny. He and Manny will be in place together for maybe a few hours a day.
And they're both our newest dogs, both of them. So Bell and Junior have been with me for a long time. Oakley passed last year. But like Bell and Junior have been around, Junior's 15, Bell's probably 9 or 10. And so they kind of know the program. Junior, as he's getting older, is getting a little more restless. So we're dealing with that right now. Yeah. We're starting to put him in downs and giving him a little more structure because he feels like he needs it. But pretty loose as far as my guys. I don't do structured walks with my guys. Junior can't walk so well anymore. So we kind of like, especially our morning walk when he's hurting, it's pretty light and easy, to be honest. It wouldn't be like what you would expect, like my marching around structured walk that you see me with clients. It's a much looser affair.
Mine is structured like
hers
that.
is structured
Mine's
with her.
a little bit different. So
she had reactivity stuff with Hercules. So
structured walk, I would say just quickly, we have, we do walks, duration stuff enforced with Hercules and Manny, but a little bit less with Bell and Junior, playtime, and then, more free time. But the free time is like Junior over here can sometimes start to pace, like we joked about in the last thing. He's always got the most stuff. And if he's pacing too much or getting too, like, just wandering around, we'll definitely put him in a down. Yeah. Same with Belle. We'll put him in a position so he can actually, like, and then he just chills out.
Yeah.
But that's really important is watching that as well.
Yeah. And of course, I do a little bit of training with them once in a while. You know, Belle's got some tricks and some different things we do, and we'll practice them just being cool around client dogs and like staying in a downstay or like just staying on the couch when there's dogs that are in a kind of a dangerous space and something like that. So I would say in a lot of ways, my guys are more balanced and kind of just natural than they are in a highly kind of structured situation. But just real quick, so how to maintain that stuff really depends on the dog you have. So if you've got an easy peasy dog, you can have a lot more latitude and have no fallout. If you've got a dog with any issues, any relationship issues, reactivity issues, you know, whatever it might be, then you need to continue more stuff, whether it's for you, Artem, or for clients that you're recommending for them. It's really on a case-by-case basis. And so the more balanced the dog is, typically the more latitude, the more freedom that we allow owners to utilize for that. And so that's kind of the answer. Hopefully that covers it. But if we went on a pack walk, you'd be surprised how relaxed my walk is. A
little bit looser. Okay, guys, question 5. This is from Heather Sears. Hey guys, hope you're having a wonderful day.
We are.
Always. We have been working with the e-collar for 2 weeks now, and when I ask her to do something, she will, but she does it very fast and crazy-like. And if she gets off or doesn't listen to me, then I correct her and sometimes have to dial up, and then she freaks out. She never has a calm reaction. I'm wondering if it's something else I'm doing, if there's something else I can do to help calm her down with the commands.
Okay, Heather. So, really, really good question. Couple things. So you might be working too hot for your dog. It's hard to say without seeing you guys in action.
Yeah.
So if it's too hot, then you could be seeing some more manic reactions where your dog is expecting something to be a little more uncomfortable than it should be, and is maybe trying to move a little quickly to circumvent that. The other thing could be that you could have just a nutty dog, and you could have a dog we get dogs in here that, you know, put an e-collar on, start doing this work, and they're literally flying around. You have to slow them down because they're so, like, juiced up about doing work. So some dogs are really excitable with that stuff. So it really depends on the dog, and I can't say without seeing. So what I'd love for you to do is if you could shoot just a teeny bit of video for us and send it out to us at thegooddog.la@gmail.com. thegooddog.la@gmail.com, because I'd really like to know if you are, if I look at it, I can probably tell you if you're working a little too hot, and then we can dial it back down and make it much more comfortable, and then we should see slower reactions. If you've got a more nutty dog and he's just kind of getting keyed up on the whole, like, working with you and doing stuff. And a nutty dog, like, when corrected, could be giving you nutty reactions too. Could be disagreeing with it, could be like, I mean, we get dogs that are a little more high strung, and when corrected, even at reasonable levels, will give you some weird stuff occasionally. So I'd really like to take a look. So send it out, and we'll take a peek-see, and we'll let you know maybe next Q&A Saturday, if you get it in time, what we think.
Yeah.
Cool?
Cool. Okay, so we have question 6. This is from Heather Leah Gardy.
Hey,
or
Heather.
Lee.
2 Heathers in a row.
I know.
Right?
Heather night. It's Heather night, and the feeling's right.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yes, it's Heather night. Oh, what a night.
I'm not going to take the bait, guys.
Okay.
Oh, what a...
Oh, good man. All right. I have a new rescue pup since last July. She was about 5 to 7 months when I got her from a high-kill shelter, and I had her pulled and brought to Arizona. I have no idea what the first 5 to 7 months of life were since she was supposedly picked up as a stray. She goes crazy, crying when she sees other dogs at the vets or on walks. She's great with her 4 dog brothers at home. I've been using the prong collar on walks and she does much better. I took her the other day without the prong and she is not ready for that. She still needs it since she was crying and anxious when she heard and could see all the dogs in their yards. What can I do to get her to be normal? Should I take her with one of the other pups so she can see that they are fine on walks when they see or hear other dogs? I do have an e-collar, but I haven't used it yet. I guess I need to watch more of your videos. Thank you.
Heather, Okay, so you had some good success with the prong collar, and then why'd you let it go? Why did you ditch it? If it's going good, that should be, I would be sticking with it. So if you were using the prong collar and you liked the results and you took it off and things got dodgy, it just means the dog's not ready. It's not conditioned yet. It's not in a comfortable enough space where it still needs a lot of help, needs a lot of information. So I'd go back to the prong collar, and I've got zero issue with leaning on a tool that helps a dog be successful. So you want to stick with that as long as you need to. Now, that said, if we were dealing with a reactive dog and it wasn't getting better pretty straight away, then we would watch your dog. Then if we weren't, we got to make sure it doesn't trip over the camera, or we'll lose the dog. And maybe an assistant too. So if we were dealing with a heavy-duty reactivity case, then we always go to e-collar stuff. So it depends on how astute you are e-collar-wise, if you're super comfortable with it. If you are, then it can be a game changer for reactivity stuff. So either way, you need to stick with it, whatever you're going to do, probably for an extended amount of time to try and get the dog back into a better gear. So start with the prong, work it. If it feels like you're not getting as much progress as you want, then bring the e-collar on board. Watch our e-collar heel video. It's pretty easy to follow. And then just be consistent with that. Don't be in a rush to get rid of that collar, because that's how you really condition this stuff. It's just over time. That habit of I see the dog and I feel this way, you want to go away to where I see that dog, I don't care. You have to do it thousands of times until it's dissipated. So hang with it and report back and let us know how you guys are doing. Yeah. Cool?
Okay, question number 7. This is from Kelly Wallace Wilson.
Hey, Kelly Wallace Wilson.
Kelly says, that's a mouthful, what to do about barking at everyone that walks by the house?
Junior. Good question. Okay, so nice, short, sweet, to the point. I wrote some notes down for you. What did I write down? Well, the first thing I wrote was correct it. So I don't allow that kind of silliness. So if that's going on, I address it. Now, the question is, how do you go about addressing it? So, right, so just addressing the barking is a little bit of going after just the symptoms. So we'll get a little deeper in a second, but I would be going after the symptoms because that's problematic. I don't want a dog barking at anybody like that. So, but you have to have a way to correct. So your choices are either you do leash and prong and the dog drags it around the house, or you use a pet convincer and you see if that's enough of an aversive for your dog. You go, barking's not so fun anymore. Or you do an e-collar program with at least like recall foundation, and then you start correcting your dog for barking once he's conditioned to the collar, like knock that stuff off. E-collar will probably be the easiest. You've got control, at a distance, and it's usually very significant for dogs. If you want to go the lo-fi route, pet convincer or leash and prong. Leash and prong, a little bit of a pain in the butt because the dog's got to wear it and be dragging it around all day. You can get a small handle, a little traffic leash if you want. And then you can just mark it. You're sitting on the couch, barky, barky, barky. No, walk over, grab the leash, pop, give a nice significant consequence so the dog pairs the consequence with that behavior. Oh, that behavior's not so fun anymore. Behavior starts to diminish and go like that. Or your pet convincer, see if that gives you a nice little bit of boost in the non-barking department. And if none of those sound right, then e-collar's fantastic for it, but it takes a little bit of prep work. You can't just slap it on the dog and start pushing buttons. So you'd have to at least do recall foundation for a handful of days so the dog understands what it's about. And then if you really want to get cool with this, don't just let your dog wander around. Do like some duration place work during the day so your dog's state of mind feels better to where he doesn't feel it's normal to even be reactive to stuff like that. He's probably just bored and kind of like keyed up and that's like a normal gear for him. So that's why I said earlier on, you're kind of correcting symptoms. So I would correct symptoms, but I'd also go deeper with foundation, and I would do at least duration place and probably heel and probably thresholds, because there's a my survival, my doggy survival guide. So those are my answers.
Yeah, it's kind of that weird thing where it's like, if a client asked us that, we would say, well, he shouldn't be in the position where he can be barking at everything. Because if he's in that state, then he should be doing some duration stuff, because it sounds like he's a little worked up. Now, if he's sitting in place and barking at everything, that's another issue, right? So it's kind of this seemingly simple question that could seemingly just boil down to a quick management strategy, but typically it goes a lot deeper than that. So
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, just follow what I said and go after the symptoms, but also go after some foundational stuff if you want more of a generalized, better dog in general.
In general.
Cool. Yay.
Okay, this is question number 8. This
Coralie?
is from Coralie Evoques, our favorite last
Coralie.
name. Hey, Coralie.
Hey, Coralie.
Hey, Sean and Laura.
Hey.
It's Sunday morning, but I'm going to take my chance. Haha.
You made it.
My dog started peeing in the house at night. I think it's more marking than peeing. It doesn't happen every night and not always on the same spot. If crated, he won't do it in the crate. I usually don't see it till the next day, but I caught him last night right after he did
if
it.
he crated, he will do it in the crate.
If crated, oh, he will. Yeah, sorry.
Important distinction.
Yeah. He obviously knew he did something wrong. He crawled up in a ball and growled when I came up to him. How do you react in that situation? He was abused in the past, so I'm guessing he's scared of me giving him
I think she means a beating.
a beating or something. And also, what does it mean?
Language stuff.
Is it his way of telling us that he is the boss and that he this is his house?
I will
Is it a way
pee
to
wherever I
challenge?
want.
But also, like, the growling.
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
what she, yeah.
Yeah,
Is it a way to challenge us? Thank you guys for so much of your help. You guys are angels. Can't wait for the DVD. I got my educator in the mail yesterday.
Nice.
Nice
Look
work.
at you go. All right. Okay, real quick, Coralie. So, first things first. Loud engines.
No, Magoo.
So, we've got a very narrow front yard. It's nice, but it's narrow, and so, like, people and cars are, like, inches away from us. Anyways, so first things I would get into are, I would have your dog checked for UTI straight away. Urinary tract infection, are really common. I mean, I think we typically see them in females more often than we see them in the males.
Yeah.
But your dog could have some urinary tract infection, bladder infection, something that's causing him to not be able to hold it. And so he's having accidents, especially if he's doing it in the crate. Dogs typically don't want to do it in the crate. So I would definitely rule out a physiological component before you start going to any other places about it being a conversation about relationship or anything like that. You find out it's a UTI and you're going to be like, oh God, man, now I get it. I get why he's, freaked out and everything like that. So I would check him out physiologically for UTI, bladder infection, anything else. I tell the doctor or the vet what's going on and see what kind of best advice they've got for checking him out and making sure that you completely rule that off the possibility list.
Yeah.
Now, after he comes back with a clean bill of health, if he does, then it's a management structure schedule thing, and that would be making sure that you manage water. Some of these guys get excited and drink way too much water. Mm-hmm. We have that with Manny, so we always have to kind of be on him. If he drinks too much and then, he's totally loaded up like a gallon of water and he doesn't get out in time, then he can have an accident. Mm-hmm. So that's something else to watch. So I would watch how late do you let him have his last bit of water. You may need to bring the water bowl up a handful of hours before bedtime. Make sure he's not loading up and setting himself up to fail. And then I would make sure that there's a good late night potty happening before you put him away in his crate. And I would make sure that you try to get him out for a nice early one as well for that first break and really set him up to break that habit where he just is successful in just peeing outside, and try not to let him out of your sight. I think everything is happening either, what she's saying, overnight or in the crate, right?
Yeah.
So, I think it's, if you rule out physiological and then you make sure you manage his water intake and you put it away and you make sure he's gone potty at a pretty good time, he shouldn't go. He should be able to go if everything goes right schedule wise, and then you go for a late potty and you get him out early and then you just kind of build that foundation from there. As far as the growling and stuff like that, if he's got a physiological issue or he's got a marking issue, I can't say for sure what he's doing. Most likely he probably has been corrected a bunch for it and been yelled at, and who knows if he was beaten or not, but I'm sure it's been something that he's worried about. And so that's why you're getting the curling up and growling stuff. It's not about him most likely trying to show you the boss. That's a much more submissive, upset, freaked out, overwhelmed thing than trying to be the boss. Doesn't look like that. The boss looks more like putting you in a corner like that. That's how the boss moves. So that's more of, I'm freaked out, I'm overwhelmed, and I don't know what to do. And the growling is like, please leave me alone, and I screwed up, and I don't know what to do with this, and this usually means, this precipitates me getting in trouble and all that stuff. So I'd be real neutral about it, X off the physiological, and then go for structure and management and try and create some new habits. Pronto, fasto.
pronto.
Let's move.
Okay.
Boom. Look at that.
Look.
Come on, I'm an organized
Okay,
dude.
guys. So question number 9. We didn't even get 10 questions this week.
That's a crying shame. Maybe
a
this is
crying
our last episode.
It's possible. 22. It's a magical number.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys no longer have a need for us, we'll just mosey off into the sunset. And
in fact, we're sharing with you a handwritten Q&A Saturday question.
Ironic that we've gotten like cards and like gifts in the mail, and then like hardly any questions this week. Strange,
maybe because we're helping everyone.
Strange turn of events. Well, that's a good way to look at it. That's a good way.
I think we're helping.
We're running out of bad dogs.
That's all. That's fine. Okay, so this is the most awesome thing ever, is that we got a Q&A Saturday in the mail. So I'm going to read it now.
Go ahead.
It's from Marianne. She says, "Thank you so much for all the great videos and resources online. They've been immensely helpful. As 5 months ago, I adopted a 2.5-year-old shepherd hound, Brutus. After 4 long months of treats and head collars and being making fast and amazing progress on a prong. He's a high anxiety, dog reactive, 55-pound strong dude." May I submit a question for Q&A Saturday?
You can.
So Brutus had begun ignoring some leash dogs on our walks. Yay. He was reactive to nothing else. A week ago, a neighbor's 100-pound, 10-month-old Mastiff was playing in its front yard with another dog and some kids.
Sounds like a good grief moment.
Owners were standing talking and had dropped dogs' leashes to let them play. The Mastiff charged across the street to Brutus, who my husband was walking, and a scuffle ensued. Brutus went on the offense. No serious injuries, no apologies from the Mastiff owner for weeks of training undone in a snap. So now, here's where we are. Brutus is back to being high alert for other dogs, plus now he's barking at kids. Is it just a carry on and stay calm for training, or is there anything else I can do to help Brutus recover his confidence more quickly? Many thanks, Marianne. Aww.
Marianne, thanks so much for the card. And yeah, what Laura said, it really is the worst. We've heard this question or people share this story a lot of times. They'll be doing good, they'll be working really hard, and they'll be at a park or something, and an off-leash dog bum rushes them and does some kind of, attack, or even just freaks the dog out, and then the dog starts to revert and regress and lose his trust. So it's a really bummer story, and we really feel for you. Yeah. The good news is you've made progress before, so you can make the progress back again. So unfortunately you have to take a few steps back, but maybe it just makes you more tenacious and more like just, I'm going to go knock this out of the park. So I wrote a couple notes for you. So I just said start over, be extra tight with everything, and that means everything, not just on the walk. That means in the house. I would go like down and dirty with tons of structure, lots of rules, like make sure the thresholds are bombing, make sure the duration command place is just so good that you can be anywhere in the house and your dog doesn't move. Make sure he's heeling like an absolute gentleman, and I mean like an absolute gentleman. Zero leash, zero pulling on the leash. The leash should be hanging from your hand straight down to your dog's neck. If it looks like this, that means your dog's pulling. If it looks like this, he's dragging too much. So like really shoot for something immaculate where it's really challenging your dog mentally to be focused and be with you, so he doesn't have any other energy to shoot out at the neighborhood and be worried about stuff. I know he's reacting to kids too as well as dogs now, which is a bummer, but I think you'll get this all in hand. What I'd suggest is initially all this tightening up in the house and on the walk, but then also using more space initially to create a little bit of a bigger bubble, a little bit more trust, and a little bit more of your dog feeling that you've got his back when things are getting nerve-wracking, right? So when you do see a dog, even if you're across the street, when you get to that kind of zone, right, like just a teeny bit, here's the bad dog, here's you, and you're crossing, and you're across the street, but when you start to get here, just do a little this. I don't know if you guys can see it, but
do a little bit of a veer.
Do a little bit of a bubble over, and even though your dog's far away, he's going to feel that you're moving with him and that you're advocating for him, and he's going to feel better about it. Now, especially if you're a little closer to kids or dogs, and I don't want you to avoid. It's not about avoidance. It's about teaching your dog that, like, hey, I'm with you, and I know you're worried about this, and we're going to work this as a team, and I'm going to relieve just a teeny bit more of this pressure for you so you can feel comfortable. So your dog starts like, oh, cool, she's got my back. Now, on top of that, you've got to make sure, bugs are attacking, you got to make sure that you really do advocate for him. I'd be carrying a pet convincer, absolutely. I know it didn't happen to you, it happened to your husband, but whoever's walking your dog should be having a pet convincer. That way, it's just compressed air, $30 off Amazon, but if a dog comes running up to you, and 9 out of 10 dogs are going to take off and turn tail, and then you don't have a dog fight, and then your dog goes, whoa, man, look how cool that is. Mom and Dad protect me. I don't need to be worried. I don't need to be making this big display to try and keep things away and keep myself safe. So those are my recommendations for that. And I'd be correcting that reactivity, right? So even though your dog is kind of a little bit of the victim in this, he still needs your help. So all the proactive training and proactive structure and management and rules, but along with that, also correcting when your dog gets into a bad space and being firm enough that your dog can believe you, buy into you, and start to calm down and trust you. And then it's a weird way that consequences can actually create that kind of trust and buy-in. It can be counterintuitive for people, thinking that if I correct the dog, it's going to make him feel less comfortable with me, less safe. But the reality is, your dog, when he sees that you can actually control him, and control the environment, you're going to see a lot more trust from him and just a more relaxed state overall. So that doesn't mean correct him just willy-nilly just to be the boss. I don't mean anything like that. But I mean, when he starts to get worried, when he starts to get, you're doing all your right stuff, you create the bubble, and he still gets worried, make sure you share enough pressure with him to where he can actually relax into that pressure and tune back into you rather than being focused on what he's worried about. So that's what I'd suggest. It's a bummer. Our heart goes out to you. So sorry about that, but you'll get it back. You just have to keep fighting. I went through some of this with my guy early on, years and years and years ago when he was reactive, and you just have to stick with it. And honestly, anything that you're that intent upon fixing, you're going to fix. Yeah. So it's just a matter of time.
We've had clients, many clients. Literally, it's so sad. We've had 2 situations that I can think of off the top of my head right now of dogs that had serious reactivity that within the first few days they got home from the board and train, they got attacked. Not like just like a scuffle, and I'm not demeaning your experience, but I'm talking a full-blown attack. One of them had to go to the vet, and do full, was bedridden for weeks after leaving our place. Unreal. And then another one, in Santa Monica, that dog got attacked, more of a scuffle, more of kind of a silly thing, and both of them have just worked it back, and they know the routine, so they're just sticking with it, and the dogs, they get back into the groove. You can't go soft on them. You have to show them, this is it, we're doing this again.
Guys, we're going to have to run. Laura's got a 7 o'clock phone call, which is just a few minutes late.
Yep.
But question of the week before we run.
And the questions of the week last week, it seems like yes on self-development stuff, on personal development stuff.
We're also short on time, so we didn't really get to add that in this week.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Well, next week we'll start. But yes on personal development, and then
people want book recommendations and all that good stuff.
And there was one e-collar video that someone said, we're going to look at that. Whoever said something about a video.
I've got a bunch of notes from
Instagram. Nowak. Okay, yeah.
I've got a bunch of notes from Instagram and then some notes from Facebook as well. Yeah. So we'll definitely be putting a list together for all the videos to be shooting. A lot of people want that helicopter to go away. A lot of people...
Go.
Sorry.
I gotta go.
Sorry. A lot of people wanted socialization, how to introduce dogs to your pack and introduce dogs in general and socialization stuff. So I get that question all the time. So we'll definitely hit that up. We got to split right now so this girl doesn't get in trouble.
Quick question of the week.
Laura, what do you guys think of the new setup? The mic, the camera. I know our light changed kind of mid-session, but has it increased our video mojo, or has it decreased it? Do you like us ghetto style, or do you like us more in this kind of pimped out Beyonce? She woke up like this mode. You guys let us know. We love you guys. Thanks so much. Even though there's only 9 questions, we could be toast if we don't get enough questions. But thank you guys so much. Thanks for all the responses, and we will see you guys next week. We're headed to Rhode Island in a few days to go freeze our buns off.
Yeah, wish us luck.
Jeff Gelman and T3 reunion, and then T3 launch. So we'll be trying to shoot this from colder climates.
I gotta go.
All right. Gotta go.
Bye.